There are 3 things that have consumed my life since I've had kids. And the truth is, I never really thought about them until I had kids. I can remember the exact place I was standing when I realized. And now I just can't get away from these 3 things. I think about them constantly, and not because I want to. They're just always there. It's the cooking, it's the cleaning, and it's the laundry. Hi, my friends. I'm Danielle. This is Hogan Life. We talk about everything mom related. If you like to talk about everything on your mind as a mom, this is the place for you. And basically as a human person, this video is relevant to us all. So we had this little 3-story house, and I had just had my 3rd child, and I had a realization. I can never stop doing this. They expect dinner tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. It's just something I didn't think about before I got married. If I didn't feel like cooking, I could just eat a bowl of cereal. And that was great. I loved it. And when I married my husband, the thought of cooking for someone else and being a homemaker and doing all these cute and wonderful things was just so exciting. The menu planning was easy. We ate leftovers because we had leftovers. The laundry for 2 people was a breeze. Our house was tiny, so cleaning it was easy. And then I had a child. Not so bad. And then I had 2 children. And then I had 3. And it all came crashing in. I will be doing this forever. I am a stay-at-home mom. We place value on what we do. Maybe it's monetary value, intellectual value. But if it just seems so relentless and it doesn't seem like it gives back to you, that can be emotionally restrictive. I know you give me clean clothes, but I could really use a bit more from you. You know? So I've heard it said that variety is the spice of life. If you need to have too much variety in your life, you are not going to do life well. A life lived well requires substance, and it's people who give life substance and value. And you want to have a lot of the same people in your life. I have been waking up with the same man, my husband, for the last 20 years, and it is spicy. I'm telling you, being able to be myself with my husband because he knows me so well, he's not going to get scared off, freaked out. Being able to be weird and silly and fun and myself with my kids, man, that is spicy. My everyday life is not boring, even though I'm doing the same things over
and over and over.
The things we do over and over provide a structure to our life that lends stability. This is so important for me, for you, for our children. This is me doing the dishes. This is when you help mommy.
This is to make your bed. Okay, mommy?
That's when I make my bed. When things are a little unstable because maybe the normal activities aren't being done, the world's not going to explode. You have enough stability in your life that you've established that you can get back. So back to where I was with my 3 kids, realizing that I was going to have to cook for the foreseeable future. And then I had a 4th child, and a 5th, and a 6th, and a 7th. But luckily, I had already gone through these mental processes and steps to where I had kind of taken control of that restrictive feeling that was making me think that my life had gotten really, really small, really, really boring. And it didn't have all this creative purpose that I envisioned it would have when I was younger. And I started thinking of ways that I could streamline these 3 things so that they were a part of my everyday life, but I wasn't mentally and emotionally consumed with them. And the biggest thing I started with was daily routines. Now I have other videos on this. I'm going to link a couple in the description box that you might enjoy, but I started establishing routines, and I did this one routine at a time. I started making my bed. I did a 30-day challenge, and I loved it. I started cleaning my bathroom just 2 to 5 minutes every day, and realized that that took a huge burden off of me because it didn't require too much time, but also my bathroom never got to a place where I was totally overwhelmed and, let's just face it, disgusted. Who let the dogs out? Who? I started having a structure to my week, to where I would grocery shop just once a week and kind of have in mind the things that I wanted to make. So I could write it down, or I could just skip the step of menu planning and wing it with my rough draft plan in the back of my mind. The next change I really started focusing on was to have a block schedule to my daily routines. So I wasn't hyper scheduled. Okay, at 7:30, you are going to make your bed. At 7:35, you need to be in your bathroom and doing the swish and swipe. I didn't want my daily chores to be this source of frustration and another source of
failure. It's called failure
in my life. I don't mean that it is a failure. I mean, those little things sometimes make you feel like you failed, and it's just the beginning of the day. So you have your morning, your afternoon, and your evening. I know that my morning routines are unload the dishwasher, make my bed, swish and swipe the bathroom, start a load of laundry. I know that my evening routines are shine my sink, set out my clothes for tomorrow. And in my afternoon routine is where I try to get my 15 minutes of laundry in. So I just have these blocks of time in my mind, and I can just flow with the way the day is going. The next mindset or mind shift that I had was not to think about yesterday and not to think about tomorrow, the chores of tomorrow. You know, it's one thing to plan things out. It's another thing to bring into today the failures of yesterday or the concerns and the burden of tomorrow. You do your daily routines today. You spend time with your kids today. You do your best today. And then tomorrow, once you get to it, will be your new today. And then you can focus on that day. I had days where I would do my job loosely and allow for a little bit of flexibility, maybe a little bit of movement, maybe, just maybe, a little bit of mess, and maybe you're making frozen pizzas instead of, salad and a fresh cooked meal. I like to call it giving yourself a break. To me, it doesn't mean going out to eat, calling a housekeeper, and letting the laundry go. No, it just means that, okay, I'm gonna do a really easy dinner. There's these little pot pies from Costco, and the children love them, but they're pre-made pot pies. I just have to cook them for an hour. That, to me, is a break. The next step I took here, and for someone who likes things done right, this was also a challenge, is delegation. Sometimes it's just a lot and you have to delegate these tasks. But if you're delegating to kids, if you're delegating to your husband, you have to then take your hands off and say, well, it might not be done the way I would do it. It might not be done to perfection in my mind, but you have to let the person that you've delegated it to make it something that they're invested in. With 7 kids, the cooking, the food element of these 3 things is enormous to me. My children are growing at different rates, so some of them sometimes have huge appetites and are getting hungry so frequently. I feel like I can't even go 5 minutes.
I really want some water. Can I have jelly? Can I have jelly?
So starting to delegate to your kids little tasks. I need a volunteer to make lunch today. And then you've given that task to someone. You help them, but then you can also do other things while you're supervising. What can I delegate to some of the other people in my family that would take some of the burden off of me, but also be teaching them responsibility in this area? And finally, this is a practice that I have worked on my entire mom journey, and that is to never lose sight of my purpose. These big 3 that I feel have taken over my life sometimes, cooking, cleaning, and laundry, they are part of my purpose. It is the gift I give to my family. And yes, I don't get rewarded by a paycheck. My paycheck comes having this stable, functional, joyful home. And that is my goal. I want to have a home that is filled with joy. And the things my kids remember when they are adults is not that mom was constantly overwhelmed and constantly complaining about the things she had to do, because those things that she had to do were constant, but that our home was filled with joy and laughter, and we worked together as a family. So my journey has taken me here, still here, housework still here. Oh my goodness, I just cleaned that. Why is it so messy? If you enjoyed this, if this helped you at all, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. The next video coming up, the framework for a clean home. You're really gonna like that one. Remember, moms out there, no one can mom your kids like you. I'll see you next time.